What's going on, guilty guys and gals? Welcome back to Ace Attorney. Last time we found out that these two are married and pretending that she's the maid for social standing. Those British, quite a silly lot they are. And then she flew into a rage about a love note and destroyed everything. So, perfect. So much to do with what's going on right now. It will, no doubt, but you know, these two are the witnesses, right? So how do they see anything if everything was on fire? Luckily, there's a jolly good second-hand bookshop just around the corner. Buy all my old novels there. Because all he does is read, apparently. And in the pages of one particular novel, you discovered some rather illicit material.
For which your wife admonished you harshly, it seems.
Don't know about admonished. Demolished might be rather closer to the mark. And beast is most certainly... Here we go again. And the carpet. Was that destroyed by fire when a candle fell on the floor? Freud to say it was. Happened in a blink of an eye, you know. The whole place filled with smoke. Couldn't see a bolly thing. I was caught between the old Styx rage and the raging flames. Jeez. You paint a torrid picture, sir. One that would have been most entertaining. That's sympathy for you. Didn't take long for the fire to spread, of course. The bolly furniture started going up as well. We've had to hide the mess behind that screen for the time being.
Over here, Mr. Garrideb?
Well, you have nothing more to hide now, if you'll allow me. Had all my favourite novels in that case. But as soon as the fire got hold of them, that was it. Whoosh, up in smoke. I mean, they look like they just got charred a little bit. Gosh. Then the wife started hurling things at me.
What a terrible sight it must have been.
There was I, back up against the window, under heavy enemy fire, incendiary books coming 10 to the dozen. Worst of it is, I lost my favourite, book called The Lion's Pride. The Lion's Pride? Ah yes, your notorious love of big cats coming through once again. I assure you, the title didn't influence my choice in the slightest. So the poor man really did lose something dear to him as a result of the ferocious beast's rampage.
Mr. Sholmes' deductions turned out to be correct once again.
It can only be described as great British wonder. I tell you, it was total carnage, flames everywhere, and the old stick in full fettle. Fettle? What does that mean? Out of interest, what time of day was that? Not sure I can remember. It was 2 days ago now. Let's see. Round 5 o'clock, I think.
So, at exactly the same time, as a terrifying incident was unfolding outside your window on the street below.
Even more terrifying on the inside, I can assure you. The whole of Blighty could have been flattened outside my window at that very moment, and I wouldn't have noticed a dashed thing.
Oh, really?
Mr. Sholmes. Yes, Mr. Naruhodo. What can I do for you? Well, I think we've gotten to the bottom of Mr. Garrideb's situation now. But what does it have to do with Mr. Natsume's circumstances? I can't help you there, I'm afraid. What? My dear fellow, if you recall, I did say as much from the outset. I warned you that, although I knew the retired army man to be hiding something, I could not be sure whether his secret would prove to be of relevance or not.
I just knew you were going to say that.
Now, Mr. Naruhodo, you mustn't lose heart. Bear in mind, that all things fall into only one of two categories, those relevant to the case and those that are not. That makes no sense to me. Well, no matter. It is of a far greater importance that you make up your mind now. Sorry? Visiting hours at the prison will soon be over. Oh no! Is it that time already?
If we're to accept Mr. Natsume's case, we have official paperwork to attend to.
So that's it. No more time to think.
Perhaps you'd like to betake yourselves to bidding us farewell now. I must prepare supper for Mr. Garrideb.
Oh yes. I'm so sorry.
Thank you both very much for your time.
Soseki-san will be waiting for us, and I'm going to have to give him an answer. Okay, bye. Let's go see. Okay, Briar Road it is then, I guess.
It's time, Mr. Naruhodo. We must hurry back to the prison.
Yes, I know. Let's hail a cop. Oh.
What's the matter?
It looks like something's going on over there in front of the Garrideb's house. What?
What? Who is this?
I know thee not, old man. Fall to thy prayers.
How you coming, old man? You grub-looking niminy-pribbly.
Jeez. He's got like a pelican bill. You could fit several fish in there.
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
Who's this Horatio fella, eh? What you all about?
Excuse me.
Eh? What the? Who are you now?
I'm sorry. It just looked as though there might be some problem here. And my associate here, Mr. Ryunsuke Naruhodo, is a lawyer, you see?
Right? A lawyer? What?
If I could be of assistance, I'd be happy to help. I'm from Japan, but I've studied English law.
Puh. Fine. I'll be on my way for today, but you mark my words. This ain't over yet.
Well, he did a pose like Natsume does.
Get thee to a nunnery.
Hey, do I look like a bloomin' nun to you?
Ah, it is just I here now.
I do hope you're not injured.
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so gentle. Thank you.
What was that all about? Or what was that all about? I thought he was saying that in his head for some reason.
There are more things in heaven and earth, Horatio, than are dreamt of in your philosophy.
I'm not Horatio either.
Forgive the inquiry, sir, but are you a lodger here in the Garrideb residence?
He's wearing jewels. I don't...
Oh, fair Eastern maiden, thou art so right. Yes, I do dwell in this humble abode.
No. No. So they're fake. They're costume jewelry. You know, I should have guessed. And he's like an actor then. Great. Mr. Garrideb mentioned yet another lodger, didn't he? So this must be the man. Do you happen to know the other lodger who lives on the first floor?
Ah, yes, a gentleman named Natsumi. Oh, more worthy and polemist in my battle of words ne'er could there be.
Sorry? Battle, did you say?
Who is the stronger, Hamlet or Macbeth? Mr. Natsumi and I sparred long into the night.
I'm saying that wrong on purpose because he'd be the one to do it. I see.
I don't fully understand, but it seems Mr. Natsume had this gentleman, and this gentleman are acquaintances at least.
Oh, fair maiden, so good gentleman, I can tarry here no longer. Fare thee well.
I didn't really understand him, but I think he's returned to his room.
Seems he's unaware of what happened to Mr. Natsume, so I doubt he can really be of help to us. With Soseki-san and that man as lodgers, the Garudeb house is certainly full of eccentrics. Anyway, I'll go and find a carriage.
Yes, I'm sure Mr. Natsume is eagerly awaiting our return.
Let's hope we can get to the prison before visiting hours are over.
Hi. I've been doing great in this tiny cell. Oh, it's you. You're here. You came. Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire. I can't believe you came back. I'm so touched.
We're so sorry to have kept you waiting, Mr. Natsume.
Oh, no. Think nothing of it. Relax. If I were a cat, I would be purring with pleasure at the company of such fine compatriots. Noble, nurturing, never failing, Nipponese.
Oh no, let's not get carried away. I don't know who this could be. Maybe it's Van Zykes.
Oh, I quite agree. There's nothing more reassuring than the familiarity of one's native land. On the other hand...
Oh no, it's Herlock Sholmes. On the other hand, it is through friendship transcending international borders that one truly appreciates that fact. Also, did you like my Van Zyk's confession? It was good, wasn't it? Such is my belief, at the very least. Oh, it's you! The miserable, rotten spy! Herlock Sholmes!
Mr. Sholmes, what are you doing here?
I have no intention of doing anything, per se. Save observing, of course.
Whatever do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
Well, having encountered some curious reading material in that gloomful room, and having unmasked the secret identity of that eccentric pair, I decided I should drop in on my way home to see how our divested friend is faring.
Gloomful
room? At least your accommodation here offers a window, my dear fellow. In that sense, it is the superior option. Anyway, I must commend you on your taste in books. My day has been a delight, and it costs me not a penny. You! How dare you, Herlock Sholmes! Oh. I've had it. I'm through. I'm at the end of my rope. I should never have come to Great Britain. It was a terrible mistake. Haunted by spirits in those accursed lodgings. No doubt my luck will be cursed in tomorrow's trial as well. My whole life is bedamned. Susato just, turns and looks at us.
Huh. What are you thinking, Mr. Naruhodo?
He mentioned that once before, didn't he? That his lodgings were cursed, I mean.
And there is much truth in Mr. Mustache's words.
What?
Cursed is a wholly appropriate description, I would say. For the man's lodgings, and indeed for tomorrow's trial.
What's that supposed to mean?
Alright, well... Cursed trial, cursed lodgings, excellent.
Mr. Natsume, what did you mean by what you said just now? About the trial tomorrow being cursed?
Oh no, why are you looking so grave? You're making me nervous. I was just getting carried away, that's all. I didn't mean anything by it.
Oh, I see. It's really agitated him.
You don't mean the trial really is cursed somehow?
Are you referring to the prosecutor, the Reaper of the Bailey?
The Reaper? Oh no, what do you mean? Please tell me. Summarize it succinctly in 16 salient words.
No defendant has ever survived a trial in which the Reaper stands for the prosecution ever.
I think that was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, I miscounted. Excellent. Oh my goodness, can it really be true? That was 16 words exactly.
Yesterday, Mr. Naruhodo successfully defended someone against the Reaper. But then, after the trial was over, the defendant passed away in unusual circumstances.
Mr. McGill did. He was probably evil.
What?
Ah, I'm impressed, Mrs. Otto. You have an eye for detail.
Actually, the Lord Chief Justice told us.
Mr. Sholmes, surely it can't be that having failed to have the accused convicted, Lord Van Zeeks killed the man himself?
Oh no, he couldn't have, surely.
You have some wonderful notions.
Sorry?
The man isn't a mass murderer. He's a court prosecutor. My dear fellow.
Oh, yes. Why, of course he is.
Oh, of course he is. Then why are you trying to scare me?
It could be said, however, that the real truth about the man is even more terrifying than your hypothesis.
Huh?
What on earth do you mean by that?
The Reaper.
Van Zeeks is quite an exceptional man. However, in London courts of law, exceptional does not equate to winning every case without exception.
Oh, that's good.
Seki-san looks like he's going to cry tears of joy. As you are no doubt aware, in British criminal trial there is both a judge and a jury. The judge officiates based on the letter of the law, whilst the jury offers public opinion and common sense. It is an excellent system whereby the defendant's guilt is considered from several points of view. However, public opinion in particular is somewhat easily manipulated. Right. Criminals and corrupt lawyers, for that matter, can use it to their advantage. By any means at their disposal, contriving evidence, calling impostors as witnesses, and so on. By such underhanded means, those who would want to are able to sway the jury, which means that even in the light of irrefutable evidence, the prosecution can fail.
But it means the wrong verdict could be passed.
And sadly, it is from time to time, my dear madame. It's the simple reality of the situation. And that's all right? However, those indicated by Lord Van Zykes, indicted by Lord Van Zykes, cannot escape justice. Their fate is sealed.
Oh my.
Though the adjudication may see them leave the courtroom with their freedom, within months they all disappear. It's most striking.
Disappear? But how?
Ah, by all manner of misfortune, sir. Perhaps they are trampled under a passing carriage. Perhaps they fall into the Thames and drown. Perhaps they are suddenly overcome by a raging fever, or perhaps attacked by highwaymen. All of these things are would probably be quite common causes of death in this day and age.
No.
All examples of the reality of events here in London, I'm afraid, Mr. Naruhodo.
I knew it. I'm dead. Dodo, done for, doomed.
When you said accursed lodgings before, you were referring to your room at Mr. Garadeb's house, I assume. Do you mean to say you believe the place is cursed?
It's been a year now since I came to Great Britain. But I'd only been in London a week before I started to notice strange feelings in myself.
That didn't take long, then.
Everywhere I looked, there were foreign faces staring at me, laughing behind my back. I was sure people were talking about me. I started to become nervous about going outside. They were always staring at me, all the time, from dawn till dusk. So I shut myself away in my room, but even that didn't help. The fear wouldn't go away.
Oh dear.
You must have been very lonely. having been away from your homeland for such a long time.
I've had to move a number of times, most recently to that room on Briar Road, a week ago now.
Yes. Why did you choose there? It seems a little inconvenient.
The rent is cheap. I have so little money, it appealed to me straight away. Of course, I asked why it was so affordable. The landlord just simpered and said, "The room is cursed." Oops. He quickly tried to cover his mistake, but it was too late, so I told him, "If you have something to say, then say it. But if not, don't mention it here in the first place."
Yes, well said.
But it was true. It was all true.
You mean the room really is cursed then?
Ever since I moved into that windowless hellhole. Oh, my sleep has been plagued with nightmares. I awake feeling as though I'm being choked to death. And in my waking hours, people are stabbed in front of me as I walk down the street. I'm branded a killer, thrown in prison. Nobody wants to know me. I'm surrounded by scary, sinister spirits.
Sorry, I'm just taking a drink.
If only there was someone, just one person on my side. Oh, can no one find it in his or her heart to believe in me? Really, no one at all.
To believe. Yes, to believe. To believe. Mr. Sholmes.
Me, Mr. Naruhodo? Pray, what can I do for you?
It's about the case on the SS Buria. If you recall...
The Buria. The Buria. Ah, that case. The one with the snake.
Well, yes. At that time, I was the suspect, but you believed in me and listened to my side of the story. And you helped us to investigate.
I did I? Interesting.
What I want to know is, why? Why did you believe in me?
I see, yes. You mean... because you were a grimly dressed, shady Eastern fellow found with a victim in the locked room.
Well, if you like, yes.
Very helpful, thank you. I'm a little surprised that the answer requires explanation, my dear fellow. It's quite simple, really. You said, I didn't do it.
But I could have been lying. Surely you must have had your doubts. You must have suspected me a little.
I did keep you in handcuffs the whole time, my good man. I think perhaps you've misunderstood. I neither recall believing in you, nor in that which you were telling me.
What?
You see, the only things I believe in are those I choose to believe in.
What? What do you mean, Mr. Sholmes?
I make up my own mind about what is to be believed and what is not. If I should like to believe in something, I do. The circumstances can hang, as far as I'm concerned.
But I could have betrayed your trust.
In that case, I should have made an elementary error in judgment, nothing more. Betrayal of trust is an overused excuse, in my opinion.
Meaning?
Whether or not one should trust another is, in the final analysis, down to oneself. It is a matter of whether or not one can trust oneself. Yes, he's right! He's right! Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire!
Whether or not I can believe in myself.
A defense lawyer is only as good as his faith in his client. I believe that was his voice. Sholmes is kind of taking it now, but hey. And that comes down to how much faith he has in himself.
You were so right, Kazuma.
Oh, I was, wasn't I? I'm a pretty great guy. Too bad I'm dead. Oh. Well, it looks like I'll have to be your replacement Kazuma now, Mr. Naruhodo, given that we share a very similar voice. Well, my dear fellows, it is time we were leaving, I believe.
Already?
Visiting hours are over. The guard will be here shortly to escort us out. There is a restaurant near here that serves excellent trout. Would you care to join me?
Can I come?
Oh dear, there's never enough time, is there?
Ooh.
Mr. Natsume, if you'd like, in the trial tomorrow, I'd be happy to represent you.
Welcome, student lawyer, Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
As I said, I only experienced a British courtroom for the first time yesterday, and although the man I was representing was found not guilty, I lost sight of something crucial.
Something crucial?
What to believe in, the defendant, justice, or the truth. How to believe, even. But I think I've finally worked it out. I've decided I have to believe in myself above all else, to trust my instincts.
Yes, Mr. Naruhodo?
And my instincts are telling me that you, Mr. Natsume, are innocent of this crime. And it's imperative that we prove that in court.
Welcome, student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire.
I'll fight for your innocence until the bitter end, with every weapon available to me. So, I hope you'll permit me to represent you tomorrow.
As I said when we first met, I'd like to entrust my fate to someone who will listen to me in my native tongue.
Of course, Mr. Natsume.
It would be fair to say, Mr. Naruhodo, that your mind was, in many ways, made up from the outset. You merely needed the events of today to fully realize it.
Yes, I think you're right about that. It's been a roundabout journey, but I got there in the end.
Hey, man, I'm gonna get tea poured on my pants again, and I'm not even here. This is terrible.
Miss Sato,
Yes?
would you be willing to stand by my side tomorrow and help me in court?
Absolutely. As I said this morning, you may consider me your personal judicial assistant.
The shocking events of yesterday's trial still weigh heavily on my mind. But it's time to stop looking backwards. Kazuma believed in me, and Mr. Sholmes believes in me now too. So it's time. Time that I learned to believe in myself. Saseki-san has no one. He's all alone, and it's my job to help him, to fight in his corner. Tomorrow, in the courtroom, with all the strength I can muster. Dun 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 dun.
All right. Well, I want to see who's in the court. Because it'll be better for me to learn the voices if I at least get a little bit of time to think about them, you know? So let's go and see. Oops, I gotta go back. Here we are. Yes, the Old Bailey Defendant's Antechamber.
Well, I never expected this. Who'd have thought we'd be back here again so soon?
We are on a study tour of Great Britain with the intention of learning the country's legal practices. In order to research the latest court procedures here, we need as much court experience as possible.
Well, yes, I suppose that's true, but for the person in the dock, it may well be his or her one and only time in court, and it could be life-changing. In which case, treating it as research may seem a little crass.
Oh, when you put it like that, you're quite right.
Good morning. I'm here. This is the first time you see me not in that prison cell.
Mr. Natsume, good morning.
Oh dear, are you all right? Your eyes are terribly bloodshot.
They actually, changed the texture on his eyes so that they look a little pinker. It's funny. The early bird catches the worm, as they say here in Britain.
Yeah, I've heard that expression.
But I really don't want to catch a worm. So I tried desperately not to wake up early. I was so worried I couldn't catch a wink. And now I'm absolutely exhausted as a result.
Do all literary people take things so literally? That's a funny sentence.
Thank you for putting your faith in us today, Mr. Natsume.
I wish I had 9 lives. My whole future hangs in the balance. I'm too terrified to tremble.
Really? Because I can feel tremors in the floor.
I can't do this. I can't take it. Although, locum student lawyer Mr. Naruto Esquire,
Yes?
I caught a glimpse of the public gallery as I walked by the courtroom. It looked like the opening night of an opera. There were so many people. I had no idea my case was such a notorious affair here in London.
Oh, neither did I. Do you know why that might be, Mrs. Sato?
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo, but I have no idea.
So that all-knowing look on your face is just coincidence then, is it?
Don't hide the truth from me. It's because of the Reaper, isn't it?
Lord Van Sykes? Is that right, Mrs. Sato?
I purchased as many different newspapers as I could find this morning, and yes, Lord Van Sykes is on the front page of every one.
I knew it.
Sometime after the prosecutor was dubbed the Reaper of the Bailey, he stopped appearing in court, it seems. It's been several years now, in fact, until the day before yesterday.
Yeah, Inspector Gregson told us something similar, didn't he?
Trial 2 days ago marked Lord Van Sykes returned to the courtroom after a very long hiatus.
This is Gregson, right? The trial of Magnus McGilded. What a harrowing experience that was.
I believe that appearances made even greater waves here in the capital than today's.
But we wouldn't have realized, of course, having only just arrived in the country.
Why is the Reaper back in the Bailey so soon? And what for what appears to be a mundane murder?
Mundane murder, huh?
That's the question the papers are asking, and they're all speculating various answers.
Mundane? Mundane! This is the most significant saga of the century to some of us.
Oh dear, I meant no offense, Mr. Natsume, but that's how the papers are describing it.
Well, lest we also forget the fact that it could spark an international incident. Obviously, the reappearance of this infamous prosecutor has caught people's attention. But there's another blatant similarity with the trial of 2 days ago.
Yes, I agree.
Locum student Mr. Naruhodo Esquire, it's you!
Me? Well, I suppose that's true.
Both times it is you who stands against this legendary prosecutor. It can only mean that you're friends with the Reaper.
Please, I don't rub shoulders with Deathbringers.
I'm afraid there's really only one other explanation. It can only be another example, Mr. Naruhodo, of your uncommonly bad luck.
Thanks for that.
Oh, this is just my luck. Why must I be represented by a man with such frail fortune? By the least lucky lawyer alive.
Well, let's not forget that it was you, Mr. Natsume, who asked me to represent you.
Oh,
Yes, it's true that I'm just a student and new to London, with little in the way of experience or skills, or luck. But I promised you this. I will fight your corner. Sure. Until the bitter end. And I want to believe in you, Mr. Natsume.
oh, benevolent locum student Mr. Naruto Esquire.
You're not alone here with us, Mr. Natsume. Whatever happens, we'll always be on your side.
Oh, benevolent non-locum assistant Miss Mikotoba Esquires. I'm in your debt, like forever. I shall never forget this great kindness for as long as I...
Mr. Natsume, counsel for the defense. Court in session is about to begin. Kindly make your way to the courtroom at once.
Oh,
All right then, Mr. Natsume, it's time. Let's go.
yes!
Okay. This is it. This is it, Luigi. My second appearance in a British courtroom. And my second trial against the Reaper. I hope you're watching over me, Cosma.
I'm in grayscale now. What happened to me? Is this what death is? Turning grayscale?
Because this time, I won't let my faith waver. I'll believe in my client to the last. Just like you believed in me. I believe I can do this now. I'm ready for this fight.
Alright, well, I'll be ready when I take a drink. Okay, I'm ready now.
Oh, yep. Wait, fair play? Okay.
In the name of Her Majesty the Queen, I hereby declare this court to be in session. I now call upon the counsels for the prosecution and defense to declare their willingness to proceed.
The prosecution is fully prepared, my lord.
The defense is ready, my lord.
The Nipponese are a truly fascinating breed.
Okay, we're already starting with this, huh? Okay.
Sorry, what?
Lord Strongheart has told me all about you. That you were a student who arrived in London but 2 days ago. A mere amateur.
Do you have a point?
Being a compatriot, you feel compelled to try to help the accused, I suppose. Typical Nipponese arrogance.
Okay. That coming from a British guy.
Forgive me, but I don't believe arrogance is an appropriate description.
Sato-san.
After all, in our previous encounter, the defendant was found to be innocent.
I'm already pouring my wine to that one. Very true, and a most fascinating, if dark, trial it was as well. The tragic conclusion came later, of course. Here's to the acquitted, and his unfortunate violent end.
Jones on the jury, too. Great.
Thank you, counsels. I see both sides are in fine fettle. Hey, there's that word again. Now, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are you ready to carry out your duties here in court as impartial members of the public?
I never know when you might be down on your luck, but I believe in fair play for everybody.
God damn it. Oh no. She looks like she had her face painted on.
Well, I must warn you, I'm rather more ruthless than I appear.
No, that's not. That's not the Hatter guy. Sort of similar looking, but no.
I won't, not me. What you see is what you get. I'm a peace-loving fella.
I'm afraid to say, I think it is quite possible that Mustache Foreigner did the deed.
How is she okay. How is she an impartial juror, though? The dude lives with them, right? Okay.
Come on, what you waiting for? No doubt he did it anyway.
There's always one. Is juror number 6 always going to be like an old person?
Sorry, didn't quite catch that. Very well. Let us proceed. Your opening statement, if you please, Mr. Lord Van Zykes.
Very recently, Great Britain signed an alliance with the rising powers in the Far East. The accused in the dock today is a student from that same land, a certain Mr. Soseki Natsume. And while our country has extended this foreign student the warmest of welcomes, regrettably the kindness has not been returned. In fact, the student is accused of a most sinister act. Of plunging a knife into the back of an innocent woman who was doing nothing but walking down the street. A knife crime? I'll tell you from bitter experience, those are the worst. Bloody oath they are.
I kind of hope they bring back somebody from the previous case in the jury every time. That's very funny.
shallow complexion and short stature. He's one of those dreadful Japanese.
Oh dear. Oh, I see we are very, very unbiased.
Come on, let's get this over with. With me now, everyone. 1, 2, 3.
Sorry, didn't quite catch that.
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of smashing my hollowed chalice here in this great chamber. Allow me to call the first witness to the stand.
Very well. Bailiff, lead in the inspector, please.
Great. Great.
Hypes, Mike Gregson. Your name and occupation, please. Well, you know, Mike.
Does a little salute. Oh my goodness, a notification. What could it be from? Discord. I actually don't know what that is. That might be important. We'll see. Later.
Yes, sir. Tobias Gregson, Detective Inspector at Scotland Yard. Would you please summarize the events of the case for the court, Inspector? The victim is thought to be a young woman in her 20s by the name of Olive Green.
Olive Green? What is this, Clue?
I beg your pardon, Inspector. Thought to be.
Yes, well, having been stabbed in the back by her attacker's knife, the victim's fallen unconscious. That was 3 days ago now, and she's been comatose ever since.
What? So they don't even know who she is for sure?
Comatose. I see. But her life is not in danger?
Fortunately for the Eastern student, the charge will not be murder. Pray, elaborate on the details, Inspector. Sir, if I could ask everyone to look at this street map.
Mearsham Street, Calabash Road. What names?
As I mentioned, the incident took place 3 days ago, at around 5 in the afternoon. It happened on the pavement running alongside Briar Road, a wide thoroughfare for horse-drawn vehicles. It had not been long since it stopped snowing as the victim, Miss Green, was walking down the street. Out of the blue, she was approached from behind by the accused and stabbed in the back.
Look at that image. It makes him look so much, like, scarier.
Luckily, the young lady's life was spared, and she's currently being treated in one of the city's hospitals. But being unconscious as she is, we've been unable to take a statement from her, of course. This is the case file with everything we know about the victim so far.
Thank you, Inspector. The court will accept the documents as evidence, if you please.
Okay, let's check that out.
What of the weapon that was used?
Yeah, we'll get to that in a second. We barely have any evidence. That's crazy. Young woman rendered unconscious following a stab wound in the back. Olive green, female, stout build, early 20s. Pavement of Briar Road, east side. Reporting officer, Rolly Beat. Well, given that it gives us the reporting officer, I'm sure we'll see him. Rolly Beat. Victim remains unconscious. Her name was gleaned from her personal effects. Other details are unknown. I wonder if maybe her name was gleaned from a bookmark, perhaps, and there could be a connection there that'll be important. Like the secondhand store is somehow like for drugs or something. Could be. That would be my immediate thought. Apart from the single stab wound from a large knife, no other signs of injury were observed. The assailant was seen running away by the reporting officer and successfully arrested the next day. So yeah, we're definitely going to get Rolly Beat in here at some point, probably.
Sir, now I have that here. It was removed from the victim's back.
Well, no wonder she didn't die. Look at that tiny knife. Ouch, that big thing's starting to make me scared to walk down the street now. What do you mean? It's okay, maybe it's bigger than it looks, but come on.
With a heavy blade like that, almost anybody would have been able to stab the poor woman.
Even the scragged-looking Soseki-san, I suppose.
A common or garden jackknife, I would say. Rather nondescript. Thank you, Inspector. The court accepts the blade as evidence.
I suppose maybe they were just bigger back then, because the mechanisms were harder to get to be so small. Because, like, I'm thinking of pocket knives I have today, right? They're not that big.
Now then, what do we know of the motive? Money or valuables, I presume?
From what we can tell by looking at the woman's positions, it seems like she's a poor student herself. Hard to imagine she would have had anything much worth pinching, my lord.
I see. Well, in that case, are we looking at some deep-seated resentment toward the victim?
I'm afraid I couldn't say. Apart from visiting the second-hand bookshops, the defendant, Mr. Natsume, doesn't appear to get out much. At this moment in time, we haven't been able to establish any sort of connection between him and the victim.
I am raising my hand. If theft and grievance have been ruled out as the motive, what reason can Mr. Natsume possibly have had for stabbing that young woman? Yet you arrested the man in spite of that, in a totally unjustified and heavy-handed way. What? That's a new one.
Pray, forgive the discourtesy of flinging a freshly uncorked bottle into the public gallery.
I caught Van Zeke's bottle. Woo! It's like a baseball game.
But your words have soured its hallowed bouquet. For it is you, my learned friend, who is being heavy-handed here.
What?
Scotland Yard does not arrest people without good cause. That should be beyond question. Inspector Gregson, the prosecution calls for your formal testimony. Explain to the court precisely why the constabulary came to arrest the Nipponese student.
Yes, sir. We'll do that next time. Get to Gregson's testimony. I've missed the Ace Attorney formula, dude. These first 3 cases, they were pretty decent, right? But man, I missed investigating and meeting people and being able to speculate, ooh, who might have done it? And ooh, what could this little piece of evidence be for? It's very fun. And also, I just love meeting the detectives and stuff, because they're always characters. I mean that like in the, oh, you're such a character kind of way, not in like, oh, you know, this game has 163 characters, or something like that. Anyway, thank you all for watching. If you did enjoy,
Leave a like, maybe subscribe to the channel. It'd help out a lot, probably.
I suppose I should do this thing again. I just started doing it on a whim, and now I'm just going to do it every time. If you made it this far, comment,
Your boy's Gregson. Loves fish and chips. I am, that's something right. Maybe, we'll go with that.
Alright. I just realized I'm going to have to do Gregson and then also Fairplay, and their voices are so similar.
It's me, your boy's Gregson. It's me, Mr. Fairplay. Alright, there's nothing left.
Yeah, that's going to be awkward if they ever do talk back to back, but we'll just hope not. Alright. Bye!